Hello everyone. Today we are peeling back the layers of one of ancient China's most chilling, unsolved mysteries, the true number of Qin Shi Huang's children and their terrifying, largely forgotten fates. Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor who unified 6 warring states, standardized writing and currency, and laid the foundation of imperial China, remains one of history's most iconic figures. Yet, for all the books, documentaries, and archaeological digs focused on his reign, his own family, specifically his sons and daughters, has been erased from popular memory. Their stories, buried under tyranny, betrayal, and systematic slaughter. What makes this story even more haunting is that we are not relying on folktales or exaggerated legends. Every detail we cover today is rooted in the records of the Grand Historian by Sima Qian, the most authoritative source on Qin and early Han history, and confirmed by modern archaeological excavations at the Qin Shi Huang Mausoleum. Let us start with the most basic question that even many history enthusiasts get wrong. Exactly how many children did Qin Shi Huang have? For centuries, scholars have debated the exact count, as no surviving Qin document lists every imperial child. Sima Qian provides fragmented but critical clues. In the biography of Li Si, he writes that 12 princes were publicly executed in the capital city of Xianyang, and 10 princesses were brutally put to death in Duke. Elsewhere, the text notes that Qin Shi Huang had more than 20 sons. Combining these accounts with later scholarly research and archaeological evidence, the mainstream historical consensus today is unequivocal. Qin Shi Huang fathered 33 children, 23 sons, and 10 daughters. This number includes infants and young children who died before the emperor's passing, meaning nearly all of his surviving offspring faced violent deaths shortly after he took his last breath. Only a handful of these 33 children are known by name, a stark reminder of how thoroughly the Qin court erased their existence. The named heirs are Prince Fusu, the eldest son and rightful heir; Hu Hai, the 18th son who became the second emperor; Prince Gao, Prince Zhang Lelv and his 2 brothers; and one princess, the Huayang princess, who was married to the famous general Wang Jian as a political alliance. The other 28 children, 17 sons and 10 daughters, have no recorded names, no documented lives, and no proper burials, their identities lost to time and violence. To understand their fate, we must rewind to the fatal summer of 210 BCE, when Qin Shi Huang died suddenly during a tour of eastern China. He had never officially named a crown prince, but his final edict clearly ordered Prince Fusu to return to Xianyang and take charge of his funeral, a de facto proclamation of Fusu as his successor. Fusu was a wise, compassionate prince who had criticized his father's harsh legal policies and mass conscription, leading the emperor to send him to the northern border to supervise General Meng Tian's army. This exile, intended to discipline Fusu, instead left him vulnerable to betrayal. 3 powerful men, eunuch, Zhao Gao, Chancellor Li Si, and Prince Hu Hai, conspired to alter the emperor's edict. They forged a decree accusing Fusu and Meng Tian of treason and ordering them to commit suicide. Fusu, loyal to a fault and unaware of the forgery, took his own life without protest. Meng Tian refused at first, but was later forced to do the same. With Fusu dead, Hu Hai ascended the throne as Qin Shi, a weak, easily manipulated ruler, controlled entirely by Zhao Gao. What followed was one of the worst royal massacres in human history. Zhao Gao convinced Hu Hai that his many brothers and sisters posed an existential threat to his rule, arguing that any prince could claim the throne, and that princesses, married to powerful nobles, could rally their husbands' families against him. Hu Hai, paranoid and desperate to hold power, approved a ruthless purge that targeted every one of his siblings. The first wave struck 12 princes in Xianyang. They were not simply executed. They were loosely, publicly killed, and their bodies displayed in the city market to terrorize the Qin nobility and anyone who dared question the new emperor. This was not justice, it was a deliberate show of cruelty designed to crush all opposition. Weeks later, the violence spread to Du, a strategic town east of Xianyang. There, 6 more princes and all 10 of Qin Shi Huang's daughters were subjected to zhesi, a brutal form of execution, where their bodies were torn apart. The princesses, who had no political power and lived quiet lives as wives of aristocrats, were killed solely for being the first emperor's children. Their deaths were meaningless, a product of petty fear and tyrannical madness. Among the few named victims, Prince Zhang Lelv and his 2 brothers stand out for their tragic innocence. The 3 men were known for their humility, strict adherence to court rituals, and complete lack of political ambition. They never plotted against Hu Hai, never spoke out against the regime, and never sought power. Yet Zhao Gao ordered their arrest anyway, locking them in the palace, and sending a messenger to demand they kill themselves. Zheng Lv, in a final act of defiance, asked the messenger, "In all court ceremonies, I have never disobeyed the masters of ceremony. In all government positions, I have never neglected my duties. In all responses to orders, I have never used improper words. Why am I guilty of disloyalty?" When the messenger refused to answer, Jiang Lelv looked to his brothers, shouted, "Heaven! I am innocent 3 times," and the 3 men drew their swords and took their own lives in tears. Their death exposes the utter lawlessness of Hu Hai's reign. No loyalty, no innocence, no virtue could save the first emperor's children. Prince Gao chose a different path to protect his family. Seeing his brothers and sisters killed one by one, he knew he could not escape death. Fleeing would only lead Hu Hai to exterminate his entire clan. In a heartbreaking act of sacrifice, he wrote to Hu Hai, begging to be allowed to bury himself at Qin Shi Huang's mausoleum as a sacrificial attendant. Hu Hai was overjoyed by this request. It eliminated a rival without making him look like a tyrant. He granted Prince Gao's wish, awarded his family a large sum of money, and let them live. Prince Gao's death was the only one that spared his loved ones, a small glimmer of humanity in a sea of bloodshed. Modern archaeology has finally given physical proof of this massacre. Near the Qin Shi Huang Mausoleum, researchers unearthed a group of high-ranking tombs with luxurious burial goods, jade, bronze, and jewelry fit for imperial children. But the human remains inside were horrifying skulls, split open bones, broken bodies, dismembered, showing clear signs of violent death. One tomb even held a seal carved with Yang Zi, likely the name of one of the murdered princesses. These bones are not just ancient remains. They are silent witnesses to the purge Sima Qian described, confirming that the stories of mass execution were not exaggerations, but cold, hard facts. Now we come to the final question. Did any of Qin Shi Huang's children survive? The short answer, based on strict historical evidence, is no. Hu Hai, the only surviving son, ruled for just 3 years before Zhao Gao turned on him and forced him to commit suicide. Hu Hai had no children of his own, ending Qin Shi Huang's direct bloodline. There are unproven folktales of some children fleeing to remote regions and changing their names, but no historical documents or archaeological finds support these claims. Every verified child of Qin Shi Huang either died by execution, suicide, or in early childhood, leaving no legitimate heirs to carry on the dynasty their father built. This story is more than a tragic family saga. It is a brutal lesson about power and tyranny. Qin Shi Huang spent his life building an empire that would last 10,000 generations, yet he failed to protect his own children. His refusal to name an heir created a power vacuum that turned his own son into a mass murderer. The man who conquered kingdoms, built monumental structures, and controlled every aspect of his empire, could not control the fate of his flesh and blood. The 33 lost heirs of Qin Shi Huang are a reminder that even the most powerful emperors are mortal, and that unchecked power destroys not just enemies, but the very family meant to carry on a legacy. Their names may be lost, their stories buried, but their fate remains one of the most chilling chapters in the history of imperial China, a story of ambition, betrayal, and a royal bloodline wiped out in a storm of terror. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.